Hey guys, I've got another knife review for you here. It's been a while since I've done one, and I've had several requests to do some more again. So I thought I'd review the KABAR short marine fighting knife. It's also called the short KABAR, or as I just call it, the little guy, or my little mule. I've got two here, actually. They are the exact same thing for the most part. One little detail I'll show you. The main difference between them, though, is that this one here I bought about 15 years ago. It's been ridden hard and hung up wet, and it is still going. Pretty much the same as when I bought it, other than a little bit of abuse that I gave it that it didn't recover from. I'll show you that. And then this one here is how they're making them now. This one's practically brand new. I borrowed it from a friend of mine, and I told him I was going to sharpen it for him, which I'll have to get around to at some point. But anyway, he bought this on my recommendation based on my experience with this one, and so yeah, we'll have a unique opportunity here to look at one that's been used really hard and one that is pretty much brand new, so you can kind of see how they age. So let's take a look at the new one first. If you're familiar with the the KABAR fighting knife, it's got a 7-inch blade and is otherwise identical to this one, except the handle's a little larger to stay in scale with the blade. But otherwise they are the same knife. This has a stacked leather handle, and it's 1095 steel, and it has this black coating on it. I don't know what the coating is made of. I don't really worry about such things, but it holds up pretty well, which I'll show you on the other knife. But this one he got is the serrated version. The serrations work pretty well. I'm not a big fan of serrations myself, but they work pretty well, and they don't interfere. They're not so jagged that they get in the way of doing regular type work. It does have a full tang, or a full length tang, that is. As you can see right there, it goes all the way to the pommel, and the pommel is also steel. It's a pretty rugged construction. I'll give you some measurements here. It is, holding it up, you can see the blade is 5 1/4 inches long, exactly, and the handle, yeah, line that up for you. There you go. Is about 4 1/8. So I'll let you do the math on that. But anyway, the reason I originally purchased this one was because excuse me, a little bit of water here. The reason I originally purchased this one is because in Texas you cannot carry a knife for non-sporting purposes, as the law says, if it's over 5 1/2 inches. So that's the cutoff, the blade, that is. And this is 4 1/4, or this used to be. This is the old one, and you can see I mistreated it, and it is now 1/8 of an inch shorter than it used to be, which is kind of funny. And I don't fault the knife for that. That was my own fault. I was being cool, throwing it at a tree. The tree didn't like it, and neither did the knife. When I made a bad throw, it bounced off and landed point first on a sidewalk, which, let's see if it'll focus on the tip there. Yeah, you can see it's kind of been dulled a little, not quite as sharp as this one. I'm not so good at focusing the point here, but needless to say, yeah, the point has definitely taken some damage. But that's it. That's the only wear on this knife. A few rub marks from batoning it through wood. But that's it. That's all that's happened. There's a little bit of this black paint that's on the pommel has broken off, and there's no rust. I take that back, but the paint did chip off. And that's because I had it like this, and I was hammering. I mean, I really have used this extremely hard. This is as durable a knife as I can imagine there being. It really is a tough knife. It holds an edge pretty well. The one thing I have against the edge is that I'm not giving you a good angle on that, but it's a fairly wide angle. It's not real steep, so I can't get a great edge on it. The older model, or same model, but the older knife had a sharpened swedge here, which I haven't kept sharp. I don't really care. I don't knife fight much, not anymore. Temperance in my old age. But anyway, it's sharpened in this one, and in the newer model we noticed that it isn't sharpened at all. It's just completely dull. So you could sharpen that if you really wanted to, but it would take a little bit of effort. There's no edge there at all. I've actually thought about grinding mine back down here just to get the point back, and because I baton, I don't want a sharpened swedge anyway. That's just annoying. I don't have the weight for this. It isn't listed on a website that I could find, but as you can imagine, for a knife that is, let's see if we can take a look at the thickness here. You can see it's between an 1/8 and, or between a 1/16 and an 1/8. Between 2/16 and an 1/8 thickness. So it's fairly thick. Very solid feeling. Yeah, that's not going to break. If it was going to break, it would have already, because before I knew better, I really mistreated this knife when I was younger. The handle feels good. I've heard people complain these stack leather handles can get slick when they're wet. I've never had that problem, so I'm not sure what they're talking about. I think these handles are great. I've also heard that they swell and crack when they get wet and age. I've left this outside though, and I've never... Well, you can see the handle. It's in great shape. There's no cracking or whatever else going on with it. It's just like it used to be when it was new. So I don't know. It's as durable a handle as anything synthetic. So I did notice the handle, the swell of the handle. If you look at these, the older one, being this one here, is wider. I think it fits the hand better. Depends on your hand, I suppose. But it swells more. I'm not sure you can see it if I hold them above each other, but it does have a better swell and feel in the hand than the newer model, although it's pretty slight. The sheaths, get to that before I run out of time, are leather. This is the old sheath. I haven't done anything to it. I've never treated it or anything like that. It looks like it's been around a while, and it has. I carved some initials or something in it at some point. I don't know what I was going for. Those are not my initials, so who knows what I was thinking. Like I said, I've had it a long time. But the sheath is still in perfect working order. There's nothing worn out on it. It's formed to fit the knife for sure, and it doesn't hold... Well, this is the other knife. It doesn't hold like it used to. You know, it kind of slips. Whereas the newer sheath is a much more supple leather. It's still thick and tough, but it's just like tanned better or something. It really feels wonderful. I just want to sit here and kind of rub on it. But yeah, it's fantastic leather. I love it. And both of these knives, I mean, they're the same knife really. So if you buy one today, you're buying this knife, except you'll get hopefully the one without serrations, because serrations are silly. But you'll get this sheath here, and it's fantastic. Works great. So I recommend this knife. I really do. I don't think it's real good for working with wood. Like if you're carving something like, say, this spoon. It's not going to be so great. It's just, you don't get a real sharp angle. But in terms of batoning and any kind of utility use, it is tough and it's going to last you. It's a fantastic knife, and I highly recommend it. For its size, it's my favorite fixed blade if we're not talking about wood carving needs. So, thanks guys.